Hi everybody, it's pianist Mackenzie Melemed here. I am the creator of Pianostics, Diagnostics for Pianists, and I'm here to launch a new series here on the Pianostics YouTube page called 15-Minute Lessons. And these lessons will be about different pieces. We'll start with the pieces that I've worked on a lot, and we'll eventually open it up to viewer requests for different pieces. They're going to cover the whole repertoire basically, so it's only fitting that we start with a little bit of Bach today. In these lessons, we'll have kind of a game plan of what we want to cover in a very short amount of time, and we'll be discussing a lot of elements, whether you know the piece or it's your first time looking at the score, things that I do on a daily basis, going through old repertoire, looking at new works, the kind of first things that what I would do when I'm beginning to learn something, and the process of how I begin to get an idea of the piece, how do I want to approach it musically, where do I find the technical difficulties, and how do I parcel it all out into something that allows me to learn the piece and the technical challenges, while also thinking first and foremost about how those technical aspects are going to contribute in a positive way to making something that's very musically coherent and unique to myself and my own playing. So I've created a little game plan of what I plan to do and just speak a little bit about in Bach's first Partita. This is the opening. The first movement is the Prelude. The first section, called Voicing, what I look for first is, I look up and down the lines and I kind of see what's happening. If we start only on the first line, we see that this B flat is held a long time. It's a pedal point. So this is not obviously the line that's going to be heard the most. We have a couple of other different lines as well. We have this line, and we've got the main line. Oops. We've got the main line. So already we've got to be thinking about the voicing throughout the whole piece. All of this comes up. We see the line moving a lot of times with the 16th notes and with the little embellishments with the 32nd notes. Those are a lot of times our main theme coming back. So we've got it here, we've got it here. It's kind of like almost in the fugue. We've got the fugue subject coming back a lot. So anytime we see these kind of figures with the 16th notes and the 32nd notes, we've got that kind of voicing. And later on, so finding the voicing is going to give us an idea of where we need to be putting our resources in terms of how much sound we're giving out compared to the other lines. So I don't think it's a little bit two-dimensional, and it doesn't give us the real distinction between the lines. And sometimes you'll be wanting to look at this green line a little bit more with the moving eighth notes and quarter notes. There may be places that you want, but being aware of generally the different layers that you have throughout the piece, and this is only 2 pages, you can easily find them, and it's just nice to mark and be aware of the different ones, just depending where they are in the piece and when they'll come back. Next one is harmonic cadence. We want to find, kind of block the first, all the phrases that we have. So I'm just going to take black and, yep. So we've got phrase 1, da 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 dum, ba da 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 dum, end of the first phrase. Then we've kind of have a little interlude here. When the theme comes back here, we start here. We've got those two. Then we've got a third that goes about here. Got another one. Finding these allows us to compartmentalize how many sections the piece has, and also allows us to look further ahead into the third idea of dynamic contouring. So we've got the opening, which a lot of these things on the score, in your score, if it's not the Urtext edition, not always it's the case that what's written on the score is exactly what the composer intended. You don't have to do a crescendo to forte. But I think the idea is that we see the dynamics, and we see that the harmony and the cadence, and we see the pedal points is all culminating at the end of this first bar. End of the second bar going into the third measure, end of the first phrase. So we know that there's something that we're going to reach. So we do go somewhere dynamically. And so kind of putting these things together will help us, especially in the next one, harmony influencing character. Let's go down to this line, and we've got, we're coming into G minor. So we're no longer in B flat minor, we're going into the 5 of the D major, which is the 5 of G minor. So there may be something a little bit more pressing in this section. We don't know. It doesn't always have to be the same way. But if we started piano, we have mezzo forte written in this last line by the editor to suggest that yes, there is a change of key, there is a change of character, and we're heading into the middle section as well, or kind of towards the middle of the piece, which is usually where we do get the kind of climax in this golden section. So looking for harmony changes, that's one of the only places that we go into minor. On the second page, right here, we've got a really beautiful, kind of get us back into the B flat major. He gives us a kind of a relaxing area with C major. And then he brings us back into B flat, where we're kind of comfortable that we're coming back to the beginning. My page doesn't go all the way back there, but yes, we're coming back to the beginning. So harmony is going to be really important to find the places that are different and that allow us to expand not only with dynamics, but also with mood. That suddenly just the sound quality of let's take this phrase. It might be more steely, more bold, something to signify that a change has occurred, and this is one of the only places in the 2 pages where we get minor. So harmony influences character a lot. Number 5 is the articulation game plan. Not a lot is written, but I think, especially in movements, maybe not the prelude, but in other movements of this partita where you have the option to play the repeats. I mean, it's not really an option. You should, and you really should take a lot of time to think about all of the options you have at your disposal for making different kinds of articulations when the repeats come, and thinking about, obviously, what makes the most sense. We've kind of made a little of a mess here, but when we start, for me, it's very natural that the 8th notes and the longer notes are connected more. there is a small staccato at the end of each of these. That gives me the idea that perhaps, even though there are a lot of slurs written around the shorter note values, there may be an angle to think about this as being not exactly matching the articulation of the eighth notes and the quarter notes. It's not necessarily detached, but there is a lightness, a brightness to the sound that it's different than... That doesn't, again, it gives it a little bit of a two-dimensional space that they're both living in. And I think even something like later, for example, one thing I do starting from here, in addition to adding embellishments, there may be an option to really lighten it and have more of a detached sound, even bordering on kind of group staccato. Not maybe so severe, but definitely there is some room. It's also playful and fun music as well. Perhaps some people would say that you have just a short movement of a prelude and you don't really have that much time to do a lot of articulation, or does it not make sense to do so? For me, I'm all for it, but I think that establishing which note values are going to have more of a connected kind of sound, and here it turns out to be, in my view, that the longer note values, the eighth notes and the quarter notes, have that kind of longer connected sound. And the right hand with the 16ths and the 32nd notes with the embellishments. They're a little bit more free, a little bit lighter, still always moving towards the end of the phrase. Movement is really in keeping the pulse, especially in Baroque music and in this opening of the prelude, to really propel us to the third beat, third measure, is going to be really important. So not thinking only, then we don't really have, we just have this robotic kind of beating and we don't see the way forward. So combining that is going to be really important. The last note I have is number 6, architecturally sound. So do we really see the full picture when we play this? And having it being such a short movement, and we can see it all on 2 pages, I think once you combine a lot of these things, we've got the opening here, we've got a restatement of the phrase here in the end of the second line, then we have possibly an area to change the mood here when we've got the D major quickly giving way to G minor, which is the only place in the movement where we see the minor key. That's kind of an easy one, leading into a kind of middle section, a development section, quickly giving way to a lighter section in C major, and then we finally get back to our home key of B flat, but there's a little bit more to go. Then this kind of coda where, again, we have all lots of Fs in the bass. Which is no coincidence because it's exactly kind of we're doing the 5 of the home key, and it's the same statement that we have in the beginning, which is, in the tonic. We've got it in the dominant. And it's actually, by way of what the melody is, it's creating a pedal point on the F. So we're hearing a lot of this, a lot of tension just by hearing the melody in the dominant. And it gives us a really great opportunity to grow to kind of a fever pitch. that is kind of the architecture that will be created from following a lot of these steps. And each step is very important. It gives you an idea of how you're going to tackle all of these different musical elements and put them together in a way that makes sense. So this was your 15-minute lesson on Bach's first partita, the first movement, the Prelude.